Welcome back to the City of Santa Clarita Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Perry Smith, News Director for KHTS, and I'm here in the studio with Laura Jardine of the Environmental Services Division for the City of Santa Clarita, and we were just talking about the 19th Annual River Rally, which is a great cleanup event that the city puts on every year since the city was about 6 years old. So you were saying it's kind of it's a tradition, and you are the organizer of the event, and so we definitely want to let people know that if they're going to come, they want to register beforehand, right?
Right.
That's an important, and it's not just so we can get email addresses. It's so people know there's a little bit of paperwork involved. You were saying?
Sure. There's a liability waiver that everyone will need to complete, so it saves a lot of time the morning of the event having everyone do it. And last year was our first year of doing pre-registration, and we were amazed how successful it was. Out of 17 plus 100 people, I think we had all but 150 that did it in advance, so it was amazing.
And after they register, do they get some? You were saying with larger groups, they want to definitely register because it'll make them a little bit easier for them when they get there. It'll just kind of speed up the process, right?
Yes, they won't have to stand at a table and fill out 15 to 20 liability waivers all that morning. They can do it in advance. And then everybody who registers gets a wristband. If you're a group of 15 or more, then you can pick up wristbands at City Hall the week before the event. That'll just save an extra few minutes the morning of the event. Everyone else will just pick up their wristband as they check in that morning.
And do you suggest people come a little bit earlier? Is there a preferred parking spot? Or just show up at the New Hall Community Center at the designated time? When is that, by the way?
It's 8 a.m.
Okay.
Yep, Saturday the 21st of September.
Okay, so people want to come as close to 8 a.m. as possible and get there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen once you show up and get there at 8 o'clock? There was a talk from Mayor Keller?
Yes.
And then what's he going to be talking about?
He'll just welcome everybody and let everyone know how happy we are that everyone shows up to this event, because it's so important to keep the Santa Clara clean and to just show how much pride we have in our community. It's great to see everyone out there, so I'm sure he'll just welcome everyone and congratulate them on participating. And shortly after he's done talking, we will have coffee and donuts for everyone to kick off the morning.
You got sold. I'm
done.
there.
Yep. And then
that's usually all it takes to get me to show up anywhere, just in case anybody's wondering.
Good to know. And then we'll take groups at a time. There's a biologist training that's required. Anyone who's been to the event before is very familiar with that.
What's that like?
What it is we hire a biologist each year. They have to do a pre-walk of the river to see if there's any ponded water locations that we need to be cautious of.
The biologist does this before
the event.
Okay.
Yep. We're getting ready to do that next week with them. And then we rope off those sections so that nobody goes in there, because it's obviously dangerous.
A hazard for anybody who's trying to help clean up.
Correct. That and hazardous to possibly any inhabitants of the river, like a stickleback
sensitive
fish.
vegetation.
Okay. Exactly. So we do that, and part of the training that morning for everybody is we'll have 3 biologists there on site, and we'll split into groups, and everybody just gets an overview of what to watch out for, what not to do, the things to be cautious of, just so that everyone's very prepared before they enter the river. It is a natural environment, so they want to make sure everyone is very educated on that.
Sure. Now, as someone who's been through a few river rallies before, I don't think this is your first rodeo, right?
Right.
What kind of tips and in general information that you think you can share with our listeners so that they know ahead of time?
Just about the event in general, or?
Yeah, that and if they were going to be walking through the creek area for the first time.
Yeah, one of the main things that they talk about as far as the biologist goes is watching out for snakes. That's always something that you should be cautious of.
Sure.
But they talk about, don't walk over something, a rock or something that you don't know what's on the other side. So that's something that they're always going to
or if you can't
focus
see,
in on. Right.
Yeah.
If you can't see what's on the other side, don't just step right over, because you might step on something like that.
Okay.
And then, like the tiny little objects like broken glass or little pieces of plastic, a lot of times people don't think that's important, or they just don't pay attention to it. But actually, that's called micro trash, basically, because it's small, and birds will think it's food for their babies. So it's important to pick up those little tiny pieces just as much as it is to look for a mattress or something that might be sitting there, something huge.
Right.
So that's another thing that they'll focus on and let everyone know, don't skip over those things. You need to be cautious and careful, obviously, because you don't want to get cut, but we do provide gloves. And just things like that, every little piece of trash is important to pick up because of animals' safety.
Right. Yeah, and just general kind of information, and then more specific biological kind of tips for
Right.
walking in that area. And then if you are interested in learning a little bit more, there's classes available at the local community college that are available. There's information about those on the greensantaclarita.com.
There is.
And I wanted to talk a little bit more. It's just a great resource. There's a few other events coming up, right? You said the HHW Roundup?
Yes. Household Hazardous Waste Roundup.
That's what it is.
LA County actually does that event, and we support it. It's at College of the Canyons in October. You can check the date on greensantaclarita.com. So if you have, buckets of paint, you have pesticides, fertilizer, anything that's sitting around that you're not using and you want to dispose of those hazardous items, that's a great way to do it because it's a free drop-off for anyone who lives in the city.
Awesome. Well, and also greensantaclarita.com, I mean, the name says itself. It explains itself. If you have any information about or if you want any information about the environment or learning about permitting or anything involved in the area, you should definitely check that out. Laura, thank you for coming down and talking with us as Laura Jardine of the City of Santa Clarita's Environmental Services Division on your City of Santa Clarita Spotlight Show. And we'll be back after this with your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.